Of course, the atmosphere in each tournament has been amazing, and it's been a different start this year than any other year I've ever had. So
Sports, Alex Eala makes history in the U.S. as the first Filipino tennis player to compete at the Indian Wells Open. DJ Manotok has that story.
Alex Eala has just made history by becoming the first ever Filipino tennis player to compete at the Indian Wells Open. That milestone alone is worth celebrating. That moment alone deserves recognition across the entire sporting world. But what accompanied that milestone is what has everybody talking. What accompanied that milestone is what has sent genuine shockwaves through the WTA and straight into the heart of professional tennis as a whole. Because when Eala arrived at the training courts ahead of the competition, the scenes that greeted her were unlike anything Indian Wells had ever witnessed. Thousands upon thousands of Filipino fans were already there, already waiting, already packed around the courts in numbers that would have been remarkable even for a Grand Slam final. The energy was not just present, it was overwhelming, it was loud, and it was a statement in itself about what this player means to people far beyond the boundaries of a tennis court. The queues stretched endlessly. Fans had come from everywhere, driven by a desire to simply be in the same space as their hero, to witness with their own eyes the player that the entire world is now talking about. And Eala, to her enormous credit, did not disappear into preparation mode and leave them waiting without acknowledgement. She walked out to those fans personally. She greeted them. She signed autographs. She gave them the moment they had traveled so far to experience. That connection between Eala and her fan base is not manufactured. It is not a media strategy built in a boardroom somewhere. It is completely real, completely genuine, and it is one of the central reasons why what is building around this player has reached the kind of scale that it has. The Indian Wells authorities have now confirmed something that puts everything into even sharper perspective. Every single one of Alex Eala's matches at the tournament was sold out before the competition even began. Before one ball was hit in anger, before the first match got underway, every ticket gone. And even after the sellout, internet traffic searching for ways to get hold of tickets remained enormous, with fans still desperately trying to find any possible route into those matches. The authorities themselves addressed this directly, and what they said is genuinely staggering. They stated openly that this is the first time in WTA history they have witnessed a fan response of this magnitude for any player. Not one of the biggest responses, the biggest. That statement alone deserves a moment of quiet reflection, because Indian Wells is not a small stage. This is one of the most prestigious and well-attended tournaments in all of professional tennis, and the people running it are saying they have never seen anything like this before. Now let us bring in the voices, because this story goes well beyond ticket sales and training court crowds. The players, the legends, and the experts inside the sport are all speaking, and what they are saying is extraordinary. Sam Querrey, a former Grand Slam finalist and a man who understands the mechanics of attention and popularity in professional tennis better than most, came forward with a statement that cuts straight through any possibility of ambiguity. He said, "Alex Eala is the biggest draw in the WTA right now. Not among the biggest. Not in the conversation with the biggest. The biggest. Full stop." He went on to say that she has reached a level of drawing power in terms of attention and excitement that places her above every other player on the tour in that specific and enormously important dimension.
Is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now?
Yes.
Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco?
Dude, it's crazy. She's having the same effect that Fonseca was having, like, on the men's side last year in Miami.
It's like Fonseca, but I think it's bigger than Fonseca.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Like, the Doha, crowds were insane for her last week.
And then Querrey went even further, into territory that is genuinely thought-provoking. He suggested that some of the top 10 players in the world, players like Aryna Sabalenka, women who have dedicated their entire lives to reaching the pinnacle of this sport, women who have actually gone out and won the biggest titles this game can offer, might be sitting back and watching what is unfolding around Eala and feeling something about it. That is a remarkable thing to say, and the reason it resonates is because there is truth underneath it. In tennis, results matter above everything. Rankings matter, titles matter, but attention matters too. And right now, when it comes to who the world is watching with the most hunger and anticipation, the answer is Alex Eala.
Yeah, correct. She's definitely one to watch, obviously because she's so good, but just for the atmosphere. You want to tune into her matches just to see what it's like on the court.
There's got to be like a little jealousy maybe from some of the women. That girl's coming in, she's not top 10, biggest star in the world.
Jessica Pegula came forward next, and what she shared gave the whole story another layer of depth entirely. Pegula is one of the most respected competitors on the WTA tour. She is experienced, she is serious, and she is not someone who reaches for dramatic language unnecessarily. So when she described what she personally experienced when she faced Alex Eala at the Miami Open, her words carried genuine weight. She said she walked into that match and was genuinely astonished by what was waiting for her. She had not expected it. She had not prepared herself for the atmosphere that had already been constructed inside that venue before a single ball was struck. The crowd was enormous. The energy was electric, passionate, and emotionally invested in every single point in a way she said she had simply not anticipated. She used the word insane, and she used it as the highest possible form of admiration. She was not complaining about it. She was marveling at it. She was describing something she recognized as historic even as she was standing inside it.
And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So it's incredible.
And that Australian Open experience reinforced everything Pegula was describing. The scenes outside the stadium during Eala's matches in Australia were unlike anything that tournament had witnessed in a very long time. Fans standing outside in massive numbers, even without tickets. Queues that stretched endlessly, filled with people simply holding on to hope that somehow they might find a way inside. The same energy, the same devotion, the same staggering numbers. All of it has now followed Eala to Indian Wells. And the WTA is realizing they may not have fully prepared for the scale of what is arriving. Ana Ivanovic, the former Grand Slam champion, was sitting on the expert panel when she looked at the turnout for Eala's training session and made a statement that genuinely shocked the room. Ivanovic said that Alex Eala has surpassed the kind of fame and recognition that Sania Mirza built across an entire career. She framed it with complete respect, making clear this was not a dismissal of what came before, but an honest acknowledgement that what Eala is generating in terms of global attention and fan devotion is something the WTA has simply never seen at this scale and at this speed. For a former champion of Ivanovic's standing to say that publicly is not a small thing. That is a serious assessment from someone who has been at the very top of this sport and knows exactly what she is talking about.
The globe, obviously not to this extent, and I think the ceiling that Alex Eala has is obviously that much higher. And I'm going to bring in a little boxing here because my dad wanted me to be a boxer, but I chose tennis. But Manny Pacquiao,
Good call.
Manny Pacquiao, we saw him when he, was at the top of his game, and alongside Roger Federer, he actually had more prize money.
And then there is Novak Djokovic, the greatest tennis player in the history of the sport. A man with more Grand Slam titles than anyone who has ever lived. A man who has experienced professional tennis at every conceivable level for more than 2 decades. Djokovic stepped forward and called Alex Eala the greatest tennis player the Philippines has ever produced, and said without any hesitation that she deserves every bit of respect and recognition this sport can give. When the greatest of all time speaks, the world listens. And what Djokovic said about Eala is something that will echo far beyond the courts of Indian Wells.
Alex Eala, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is a big country, and there's a big interest.
What Alex Eala is doing right now is bigger than a tournament. It is bigger than a ranking. It is bigger than any individual result, as significant as those results have already been. She is rewriting what is possible for a Filipino athlete on the global stage, and she is doing it with excellence on the court and genuine warmth off it. The fans who traveled to Indian Wells, who stood in those queues, who packed those training courts before a single competitive match had been played, they are not there by accident. They are there because something real is happening, something historic is unfolding, and the entire tennis world is watching every single moment of it with eyes wide open. Indian Wells is ready. The fans are ready. And if everything that has come before is any indication, Alex Eala most certainly is ready too. But before we go any further, we want to hear from you. Can Eala go all the way and win Indian Wells on her very first appearance? Is she already the biggest star in women's tennis right now? Bigger than everyone else on that tour? And what does it mean to you to watch a Filipino athlete command this kind of respect on one of the biggest stages in professional sports? Drop everything you think in the comments below, because this conversation is worth having. The Eala era is unfolding right in front of us, and we want to know where you stand.